How's it going, y'all? Titans Fan 920. Today I'm here with my pal Jose. We're going to talk to y'all a little bit about some standard bannings and historic bannings come up here, as well as some changes to the mechanic of Companion here, and see how it's going to affect us. So, Jose, say hello to everyone. He's bashful and cuddly. But, you know, this is a little bit different video than we usually do. But we don't get a lot of bans. It's been a while since we had some bans here in Magic, so me and old Jose is going to talk about them here, and we'll get through them the best we can. Now, everybody has different ideas of what they think is going to happen with the bans and what's getting, if anything actually gets banned, if it's just the companion mechanic getting changed. But I figure we'll go over some predictions of mine, you know, what I expect to see change here, as well as some other cards I see get brought up a lot with the ban discussion, and just kind of break this down one by one. So let's just get into that. So first off, we'll just go ahead and start off with my predictions right away. I think the companion mechanic here, I don't think companions are going away. But I do think the mechanic is going to change, where if instead of starting with 7-card hand and the companion, you'll now start with a 6-card hand in your companion. That way, you're still starting with a 7-card hand. You know, it's no different than any other thing, and you're still guaranteed your companion in the hand. So I still think you get a little bit of advantage that way using companion that you wouldn't get otherwise. So I think it's pretty fair there, because it feels really bad, especially if you're on the draw, and you know you're playing a non-companion deck. You have to take a mulligan. So you're starting with 6 cards, whereas your opponent's there with 8 ready to go. It just feels so bad and hard to come back from. So, no, I think a change there is probably for the best, and not them getting to still have 7 cards and have their companion is pretty fair to me. So 6 cards for them plus companion works out pretty good. I think that's still fair. It still gives you an advantage for using the companions there, I believe, but you're not as overly aggressive and having that huge, you know, card advantage that you usually would have. Hey, bud. So that's that for me, I think, on that one. I can see this going either way. I know a lot of people want companions to be banned outright. Personally, I don't really hate companions. There are some companions that I hate, but I think the concept of them is pretty cool. I think the drawback, if the drawback is heavy enough, it's a pretty fair thing to have in a deck. It's just a matter of, you know, we got to balance this somehow to make it where you're not so disadvantaged by not having companions. And I think starting with 1 less card in hand, if you have a companion, is a good way to do so. As far as outright bans, I don't personally see any going on. Rotation's coming up pretty soon, and I know they're kind of hesitant usually to do bans when there's things that similar coming on. But if 1 card does get the X, I want to say it's going to be Fires of Invention. All right, you done? Say goodbye to everyone, Jose. Jose's out of here. He's my big chunky boy, and he's a sweetheart. But he's done for the day. But his analytics and insight were very well appreciated here, hopefully. So for 1 card that I think does get banned, if they do a ban here, it's going to be Fires of Invention. A lot of people have been saying Agent of Treachery. That's the number one I've been seeing. I don't think Agent's the problem. I think the problem is ways you get it out so quickly. I mean, Agent of Treachery is a 7-mana 2/3 that steals the thing. For 7 mana, that is just fair. I don't think it needs to be banned at all there. Agent's been around and not been a problem for the longest time. Used to be you had to play Simic Ramp and work for that agent, but now the issue is, got cat hair flying everywhere. The issue is now that there's so many ways to cheat it out, and Fires of Invention is one of the ways that you can kind of help do that. So I think Fires, you know, you drop down Fires, and next turn you're playing 10 mana worth of spells at the very least. That's not how Magic's usually meant to be played, so I think if anything's going to get banned, and it survives rotation. So, like, if they want to nip this in the butt now before rotation, they might as well do it now, because Fires isn't going to be going anywhere for a while. So if you're going to get rid of one thing, it needs to be Fires and get it out of here, I think. So another card that I see been banned, and one that I definitely wouldn't hate to see go, is Treachery, Time Raveler. Now, there's going to be mixed opinions on this one, because for one, it rotates out pretty soon, and that's a big thing, and Wizards of the Coast has shown in the past that if a card is going to rotate out shortly, they're usually pretty hesitant to ban it. However, this thing's been causing an issue in Standard for a while. Just the sole existence of it kills a lot of archetypes and a lot of decks by its passive ability. And it just leads to so many ways of gameplay that aren't fun for anyone. That I don't think there'd be much objection if this did get the X. I could see it for Historic, no matter what, getting banned, just because we don't want that to be sticking around. But even for Standard, I would not be surprised whatsoever if this thing got banned. Do I think it's going to? I don't, because again, it rotates out pretty shortly anyways. But if Treachery gets the X, your boy ain't going to cry about it, so let's go. Another card that could go here, I think, is Luca. Again, everybody has a problem with Agent of Treachery, but Luca is the primary source and reason why you're getting to see these Agent of Treacheries come out so often. And it sucks, because Luca's a new card, and I don't think they'd usually want to ban a card from the new set. But with Paper Magic not really going on as much as it usually would with COVID things going on anyways, I don't think it's as big a deal for them as it usually would be. Now, Luca's a really cool design, and I said from the get-go when that thing was released, it is meant to be broken. It's not meant to be played fairly. We've seen that come to fruition here. But Luca is the primary way you're getting these 7 mana, 8 mana cards out in an instant because you can just exile something so small and then pop it in there. So I could see Luca getting the X. I don't think they'll do it. I think they're going to try to get some other things going around it first, and maybe Luca ends up getting hit later. But if they're wanting to avoid bans as much as possible, I think Luca stays, but it's one I could definitely see getting the X as well. So another card that I think could possibly get hit here that I won't like personally because I love the card, but Winota. Winota's another new card from the set, another new mythic. But again, if we're going to talk about the whole issue of standard being to cheat in these really expensive things into play all of a sudden, when you can cheat in Agent of Treachery as soon as turn 3, even in standard, and a semi-reliable basis, I think that's a pretty good reason to have to ban something. It's a really fun card, excellently designed, I think, makes you build your deck in interesting ways. I don't want to see Winota get banned, but that's the way to get Agent of Treachery out in the standard faster than anything else that I know. So Winota can surely do that. You get to get so much value from it if it stays on the battlefield. But I think it's fair. It's not indestructible. There are plenty of, heck, you have 1 mana answers and Red Cap melee to answer it. There's plenty of answers at instant speed, so whenever you take care of that, you're not getting those triggers or anything. So I think it's fair, but I could see it being a thing if it does get axed. But again, I think Fire's Invention is the main thing that gets hit here. Companion-wise, I don't think they ban any companions outright. I think if they do, it's either all or nothing. If there was companion that's going to go, it'd be Yorion. But that's because I personally hate Yorion. And let me be clear, I'm not one of these people who's thinks Arena's rigged or all this kind of stuff, but I do feel like there's something that's kind of gone on in the algorithm here that's changed a little bit since the Ikoria came out, and I think it's given those kind of decks more consistency than they should have. They've already stated before, they have algorithms in place to try to make the hands a little bit smoother when they deal them to you, even though it doesn't seem to work for me sometimes. But I don't know, it seems like these 80 card decks are way too consistent. They're always seeming to go, they have a turn 2 answer, they have a turn 3 Teferi, turn 4 Shadow of the Sky or Fire's Invention, turn 5 Luca. It seems like it happens so often. In an 80 card deck, it shouldn't be as consistent as it is. But the real kicker there is like they'll sideboard in things like Aether Gust and these little 2 mana answers, and it seems like turn 2 they've got it every time. And now maybe that's just the bad beats and bad luck and variance happens in Magic, and I totally understand that. I'm not the kind of person to just whine and complain about that for no reason, but it seems like it happens at a rate that's more more usual than it should be with an 80 card deck. We've been taught from the get-go, and anything over 60, you're adding some variance and inconsistency to your deck, and it's been the #1 deck since it came out, basically, and that variance hasn't seemed to be here on Arena. So I'd be curious to see how that stacks up in paper, But if they are going to ban one companion, I think Yorion would be it. Lurrus is another companion that gets played a lot, but it's totally fair. There's so many answers to Lurrus. It dies to Shock. It dies to almost every removal in existence. And only playing cards with converted mana cost 2 or less does put a strain on you, even though it's on a huge strain because it's mostly cards they want to play anyways. Like the Zac deck's not getting to play Mayhem Devil. That's a huge opportunity cost, and definitely not anything that's not free. So I think that's something that should come up there for sure. But that's my predictions. Once again, I think companions, if you have a companion in your starting deck, you're going to start with 6 card hand instead of 7. You still get your 7th card being the companion, though, so that's still fine. Ban-wise, I don't expect anything, but Fire's Invention is the one to go if anything else does go. Curious to know what y'all's takes are, what you think of this, so please let me know in the comments. Again, this is a kind of different video than I usually do. We'll be definitely playing some standard once Monday, whatever bans or changes happen. We'll be playing and recording some standard then. I possibly will be streaming a little bit more, trying to add that into my schedule a little bit, because the stream we had on Monday that was sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, wow, it was a lot of fun, and it's something I want to start continuing to do more. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for the support. We hit 1,600 subscribers this week, which is crazy because my goal at the beginning of the year was 600, and we're 1,000 past that. So y'all the best. So thanks for watching, y'all. See y'all next time for some gameplay. Let's go.